What's going on, box fans? Julian Williams with The Distance. I'm here for my new top 5 series, my top 5 chins, which is actually one of the hardest lists I've had to do because so many fighters have been knocked out, have never been knocked down and knocked out, or even knocked out, but, I just, how I did this list, mine may be different from yours, but, how I did this list was just basically from the shots that these fighters have sustained. So now with boxing, some fighters depend on their defense to slip shots, and not get hit. You know, so to avoid getting hit, they use head movement, shoulder movement, footwork, stuff like that, to avoid getting hit. But the second line of defense is the chin. You know, Boxers have to have a strong chin. You know, not necessarily have to have a strong chin, but if you want to get far in the sport, you have to take some on the chin. And your chin develops the more you sustain shots. Now, people, I guess my way of describing a strong chin, and it's just very basic. It's the way fire absorbs shots. A good chin could take hard blows. Could take hard blows and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't have an effect. That's kind of my definition of a granite chin. A fire that could absorb shots, as well as they can give out shots. That's just my opinion on having a good chin. But this list was actually hard to do, but I was able to pull it off. And anyway, on my number 5. My number 5 is the mauling Mormon Gene Fulmer. Now, some may think I'm crazy for putting him at number 5. Even though he's been knocked, even though he's been stopped twice in his career, you got to think about some of the shots he's taken and never, took a step back or even went down. If you look at his matchup against Joey giaguardo, he had kind of that cross-arm defense, and giaguardo's shots were getting through the guard because Fulmer didn't really perfect that defense. He didn't perfect it. It wasn't huge until Foreman did that type of defensive blocking style. But basically, giaguardo was able to get through the guard, and those punches, were just making Fulmer's head just turn. They're just making his head turn, and you could just hear the thuds of the shots in some of the videos they have for it. And giaguardo was hitting them with his full onslaught of punches, and Fulmer wasn't taking a step back. He just kept coming forward. And Fulmer's style, he always came forward and took shots to the chin, and they wouldn't affect him. And giaguardo was just hitting them all kinds of shots, and they weren't even affecting him. He was just standing there eating the shots. And another matchup is against Carmen Basilio out of Syracuse, New York. He had a matchup against Fulmer, and he was actually hitting him with a full onslaught of punches. He was opening up on him. He was unloading on him, and he didn't take a step back. He just kept coming forward. Now, and these are some hard punches. giaguardo, Florentino Fernandez, another hard puncher. Eduardo Lasse, he was, he hit him with some hard shots. But I think Lasse was a welterweight, I believe. But he actually hit Fulmer with some hard shots, and they just didn't hurt him that bad. He just always came forward. But the fight that made me put Fulmer at number 5 was the matchup against Sugar Ray Robinson. Even though he was knocked out in that fight, you have to consider, you have to watch the fight closely and look at the shots he was taking. It was the second matchup against Sugar Ray Robinson because I believe he fought him about 4 or 5 times in his career. But Sugar Ray Robinson was opening up on him. He was hitting him with his full arsenal. He was hitting him with just all kinds of shots. And this for 5 rounds, and Fulmer just never went back, never took a back step. and Robinson was hitting him with some of his best shots. His best shots, and Fulmer never went down. He didn't take a step back. He wasn't hurt, and at that time, had never been down in his career. And Robinson was just trying, was actually trying his best to get him to take a back step, and he wouldn't. And Robinson would have to circle around the ring, and then just all of a sudden, like the fifth round, Robinson was going back, and he hit him with a left hook that he didn't see. He didn't see the left hook, but Fulmer went down. And this is the first time in his career he's went down. And this is to the great Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson, was knocking out guys left and right. One guy he couldn't knock out, we'll meet him later this week, is Jake LaMotta. But that's a different story. But Gene Fulmer had never been down in his career. He had never been hurt or anything. And just this shot that he didn't see, actually knocked him out. And actually, if it was a second longer, the fight would have continued, because Fulmer was up. Fulmer was laying on his right side, and he got up, right at 10. Got up at 10, and the fight couldn't continue because of the rules. But you have to think about it though. Back then they were fighting 15-round fights, and he's taking all kinds of heavy blows, to his head, fighting 15-round fights against some big punches. Carmen Basilio, Florentino Fernandez, and Sugar Ray Robinson. It took Sugar Ray Robinson's best shots, and it didn't hurt him. So you have to think about that. You have to think about the shots that this man absorbed in his career, because he absorbed some heavy blows, heavy blows to his head, and you have to consider Gene Fulmer to be your number 5 in your top 5 chins in boxing. Even though he's been knocked out, even though he was stopped twice, and in the fights he was stopped, and in one of the fights he was stopped, he was up and wanted to fight more, but he didn't get up in time. But any fighter that could stand there for a full 4 or 5 rounds and take Sugar Ray Robinson's full arsenal has to be on my list. But anyway, that was my number 5. I'll be back tomorrow for my number 4. Thanks for watching. It was this.